Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. I've got something very exciting to show you today. I have a new journal and it's called Spirit Animal, and this one is for a very special girl called Claire. Claire is a trainer for Canine Assistance Australia, and for those who don't know about canine, it trains Labrador dogs, dogs for people with certain kinds of disability. The dogs are very well trained to cope with all different circumstances. So she's been a very busy girl training all her dogs this year. And not only that, she also has done some work with Natural Learners, which is a wonderful community group that works with children in the environment. So they tend to learn from nature-based tasks rather than in the schoolroom. It's a lot of outside work. And this year she piloted a 7-week program as a community gift from Natural Learners to the Bendigo community, and it was an ageless playgroup, and that was designed to help bridge the generational gap, and it was the first of its kind to roll out in Victoria. And they took the children to the aged care facilities to actually work together and spend time with the elderly. So it's good for both the older people and the kids as well. So well done, Claire. You've had a very busy year, and I know that's only just the touching the surface of some of the work that you have done. I know that you've done a lot more than those two outstanding things. This one's for you. This book's called Spirit Animal, and the reason that I've called it Spirit Animal is because I am now on the Poppiness design team for Susan Taylor Brown, and the project that I decided to do was from her collection of kits called Spirit Animal, and I must have been guided particularly to do this year, because this time last year I was working on another project for International Women's Day, and it was a book. Actually, I'll link it at the end of this so that you can have a look at the story if you'd like to, and it was about the journey of Miss Pink. And Miss Pink was she would have been very connected to this particular story as well. And it was quite interesting that the name of an anthropologist came up while I was researching this, which also had links to the Miss Olive Pink story. So the two of them kind of intertwined, and I sort of felt like maybe Olive was channeling me somehow to take this path. So it was all coincidental the way it worked out. But here I am doing a project for Susan Taylor Brown for Poppiness, and I'm doing the Spirit Animal Journal, so I'll give you a look. So this is a fairly hefty journal, as you can see. It's quite a big one. So I've got a doily on the back. The base cloth is from a genuine 1960s velvet curtain, and that was kindly gifted to me by Joni. Thank you, Joni. A beautiful piece of lovely velvet, which is nicely aged, so it has that lovely texture to it and colour sort of fade through it, but it's a beautiful velvet and it's still in really good condition, so that's amazing after all those years. And I've put a ribbon just to hold it because it got so big, just to keep the pages nicely together. Of course, if you unloaded some of the extra tags and things inside of it, it will close perfectly alright. It's just that I've got it well and truly stacked today. So the kits that I have used I will list below. I'll give you a quick look at some of the ones that I did use. And this is from the main kit, which is the Spirit Animal kit, and I have they come in sets of 4, but they come in quite a few different animals. So you've got your hawks, there's some bears, some beautiful eagles, and we also have the foxes, lovely foxes. Now of course most of these you'll find are probably American animals. There's course English animals too, but I've added through the book a few Australian ones so that we've got a nice gentle mix there. I've also used another kit of Susan's, which is this lovely kit with all the beautiful sayings that she's collected up over quite a long time. And this is very adaptable because it comes in quite a few colours, so whatever you have chosen to do, you'll find a tone that will suit you. I think there's 3 or 4 different tones in that particular set, and there's so many to choose from. There's heaps and heaps, so each set is different. I've also used for a lot of the background her marbled set, and that comes with some beautiful tags and lots of shapes that you can actually use. So there's some nice hearts and different shapes that you can use throughout the journal. Some tags and circles and banners and all kinds of things. I've used this one with the writing on the back. She has I've cut a heart out of that one. She actually has several different tones in this too, so the backgrounds are slightly different, like you'll get the marbling effect, or you can have this one that I absolutely love with the writing on it. It's really beautiful. I found that I was really drawn to that one the most, so I put quite a lot of that in the book. There's the words sayings in the green tone, which is really quite pretty, and you can see just how many there are to choose from. It made it quite easy when I was looking for something that just fitted. Okay, so we have all kinds of little shaped tags and things. She also has some beautiful butterflies and some of the animals into other little shapes so that you can use those for belly bands or whatever you might like to use. But there's such a broad range in this. We go from dragonflies through to deer, crow, all kinds of animals, the bears, the foxes. It covers quite a broad range, and there's also some lovely big words that you can use, and I've resized this a few times, so I've got very small and very large, so it fits with what I'm doing, which has worked out quite well. So that's just a brief look at the kit, and you'll find many more over at Poppiness. So let's just go in and have a look. I've got a small catch on the side. You can undo it, but it does just lift over the top if you want to just lift it off. I've got a little hitch post on there, which is a I think it was a Craft design, that one. It just seemed to fit that kind of natural look, kind of weathered look. And on the front I've got a fox from her kit, and a lovely mushroom card, which I think came from Mrs. Cog, butterfly, and I have some of my eco-dyed fabric underneath to give it that forest floor sort of look. So it does have a very earthy tone to it. And you'll find that with most of my books they're quite influenced by Jibid Neary style, which I really love, that nature-based sort of woodlands theme. So I definitely call this one a woodlands theme, and it does have a lot of Jibid's ideas throughout it, so you probably will notice that. So inside the cover I have an envelope here, which just undoes like that, and that has the deer paper, and it just has a little butterfly tag in there, so we've got a sweet little tag tucked in there. And you can write on the back. Most of these tags I have coated in some coffee dyed paper or tea dyed paper so that you can actually write on them, just to make them useful as well. And I've just got a bit of satin binding on that for a ribbon. That just pulls down and swings around like that to close. On this side I have a doily, pretty fabric doily, and I have some eco-dyed paper, which is a print off of my eco-dye originals. Now the reason that I didn't put all the originals in is because the paper that I used is so very thick, and you can see from my books that they do get very thick, so I've used print-offs, but I have put an original in so that you can see what they actually are like in the original form. So these are copies of my own dyed papers. Now over here we have from the kit a little tuck pocket, and this one is the hummingbird, and I've just made a large journaling card that you can write on the back with some lines on, and I've just stitched some ribbon and some just a little collage piece on the top of that one and made a little tuck pocket. And I have stamped the page with a little hummingbird there. I've used some sari silk ribbon that was gifted to me from Mrs. Cog. Thank you, Liz, that's come in very handy for this one. It's beautiful. I've got a flip out here and it has a camel on it, lovely camel, and I've just got 3 sort of spots there where you've got pockets, and flip over to pockets on the back that you can tuck in. That little butterfly is actually, I think, from Artie Mays, and I just put that in there as a little extra journaling spot. And over here we have an owl, which is from the kit, and the owl sees in the dark and can guide you to see what is usually hidden. It also symbolises the ability to cut through illusions and see the real meaning of someone's action or state of mind. So each of the animals have their own story to tell, and a lot of that comes back to Indigenous people and their stories of the land. So for the Americans, of course, it's the Indians. For us, it's our own Indigenous Aboriginal people. I have put some leftover extra bits and pieces in this pocket so that if Claire wants to keep going and adding more, or put them where she wants to, she's got some spares. I've also got a lovely letter from the bookmaker in here, and that tells you about the book itself, what it's made from, how to use it, in case you've never had anything to do with junk journals before. And this letter is also from Susan. She has created one to go in with her kits and things, so that's really handy to have. Thanks for that, Susan. And I've got here a little tuck spot with another of the cards. Again, that's a hummingbird, and I've just added a leaf and some ribbon to the top of that, and added another little card. So there's 4 cards in each set. There's 2 sizes. There's the small and the small and the large one, and each of them have a different little saying. So there's sort of elements to what these totems mean and how they work for you. So she has captured all of those and put them into a little easy to follow kind of card system. And I've actually teamed this kit up with a couple of other kits that fitted really well with the theme. And this one here is an Elsiebels one, and it was from her ferns, and I thought the ferns just helped to give that real forest feel. So I've added to that one of Poppiness's great sayings, and this one is: every particular in nature, a leaf, a drop, a crystal, a moment of time, is related to the whole and partakes of the perfection of the whole. Ralph Waldo Emerson. So you can see that they're very lovely sayings. A little birdie that I've just quickly sketched myself onto some rice paper with a feather, just to add to that flow on of the nature. And the other side of one of the Elsiebel kits. So this is one of Jibid style envelopes, and I've just added Poppiness's kit to the front to put a beautiful label on it with one of her lovely words, which fits really well, and Animal Symbolism on the back with another of her pieces from the kit, and one of her lovely sayings: come forth into the light of things, let nature be your teacher, Wordsworth. So that just opens up, and it has some beautiful buzzy bee cards in there that you can actually write on. It sort of goes along with the bee theme of the bee totem in the kit. So I've got the bee this spirit animal represents the interconnectedness of all living things as it moves pollen from flower to flower. So you can see how the story flows on, and we've got 3 more bees here which give you the rest of the story of what the animal represents. The most common symbol for the bee is productivity. Bees work hard but remind us all to also slow down and smell the flowers and taste the sweet nectar of life. So they're all quite lovely, and I've got a bee on this side of the page, and that's a kit from that's a page from Tracie Fox's kit. All things share the same breath. The beast, the tree, the man, the air shares its spirit with all the life it supports. Chief Seattle. This is one of the background pages from the kit. It has some lovely lines on it, so it makes it easy for you to actually write on. So I've left plenty of writing space in amongst all the animals so that you can really fill it up with lots of writing and information and bits and pieces. That's another little eagle from the kit that I've made into a tiny tag that you can write on or use for a label or something similar, and I've just decorated it with some extra owls that I had. Lovely owl stamp over here, and some lovely coffee dyed or tea dyed pages for writing on. I've scattered all through the book the sayings in different colours where they fitted, so that it gives you something to think about when you're actually writing in your book, and they can also be used as prompts to encourage you to think about, you know, what it is you want to write or say, to get you into that mode of writing. This one's an Australian eucalypt, and it's from a book on Australian plants, so it made a nice little what is a flower, a nice little addition to the forest story, and it also brought the Australian feel through it. So we have here a lovely eagle. Now we have those too, of course, so some of them cross over into Australian plants and animals and insects and birds. This one here is just a belly band with a butterfly, and I've just put a little letter, that's one of Jibid's letters I've tucked in there, just to show you how you can use the belly bands and things. Got a lovely fox here. We have Mrs. Cogs' collection of the Dragonfly set, and I've made a dragonfly envelope out of one of the kit cards here. So I've just added a piece of card to stiffen it at the bottom and folded it into a little envelope shape, and then that just tucks into this bottom one here. So you've got a cute little dragonfly envelope, and that just tucks in there like that. And I thought that went really well with the paper that I used underneath, which is one of my own designs, and that's just sprayed leaves with paint. Not so much eco dyeing, but using the dye to spray over your leaves to get the patterns. And a lovely forest scene, and I've got a fox in there. Now, one of the important things that I think about these particular stories, spirit guides and animal spirits and that sort of thing, is that this teaches us and teaches children about our relationship to the animals on this planet, because sadly I feel that we've come too far away from this, and we really need to get back to understanding how we work as an ecology, as an environment, as a whole unit. Modern conservation, unfortunately, has taken the path where mass killing seems to be the current theme, and I really think that we've moved away from what conservation really is, and that we really need to take a good hard look at what we have been doing, especially in Australia and New Zealand, where the amount of poisoning of our wildlife and our environment is so massive now that the repercussions will go on for generations, and I think that's very sad, and I think it's a real shame that we haven't woken up as an entire community to what that is doing. So to bring us back to our spirit, and not only in a metaphysical sense but also in a scientific sense. If you go back and look at the anthropology, especially in Australia with our Indigenous people, our first people. The dream time is something that was so important to them. It summed up their religion, it summed up their culture, and to them the animal spiritual world was just so important. It was part of their ancestry. I mean, it was a reincarnation of their ancestry to their way of thinking. And the dream time was, although it was coined by an anthropologist, the one that I mentioned earlier, Elkin, was one of the ones who actually brought that to the forefront, and people sort of picked up and took off with it. So now it's become ingrained in our culture as an understanding of how the Aboriginals see and view their culture and their religion in a way quite different to ours. And I think we've got a lot to learn from that. The other things I've added to it are little stories about dogs, and because we have quite a relationship with our pets these days, I've got a little saying there about playing together like dogs. So that can relate to also in the early days the wolves, and in our case the dingoes, and all of that kind of relationship that seems to have been swept under the carpet